Can you believe it, guys? Pitchers and catchers report just a week away.
Yes, I am hopeful for today.
So, the time is upon us. Finally, after a long winter, which was shorter than I actually expected, we finally get a chance to see some players in big league camp, and I am so excited. So, as the title states, today we're going to talk about the people who are going to be reporting to the camp first, and that's mainly the starting rotation. I'm not exactly going to talk about the bullpen in this video because the bullpen is so deep and has so many questions in a good way that I think it deserves its own video. So, without wasting too much more time, let's jump right into it. But first, a question. Who is the ace of this Brave staff? Is it Spencer Strider, who has generational talent and has put up records and numbers already in his second season, broken his own records, but at times has a tendency to let out big innings? Or is it Max Fried, a lefty who is proven to be a top of the rotation pitching arm, but has dealt with some fluky weird injuries over the past couple years? And when I say fluky weird injuries, I'm not just talking about the forearm strain. There are times where Fried has had to deal with blisters before in the past, although over the past, I'd say 3 years, he's kept it really under control. Last year was really an outlier. But Max, when healthy, has proven that he is a Cy Young contender and or a Cy Young, depending on just how you look at things. He was second in Cy Young voting in 2022, so why not run it back in 2024? But for now, I'm going to say that Max Fried is still the ace of this staff. Spencer Strider very well might be the ace of next year, but he'll have to wait a year. I think Max Fried, when healthy, which by all indications he is going to come to spring training and he is going to be on opening day healthy, which is something that we will find out as we get into spring training, he's going to be the ace of this staff. Fangraphs projects him for starting 31 games with 179 innings, a 22.5 K percentage, a 3.43 ERA, and a 3.55 FIP with a 3.6 WAR. Now, I think that ERA is going to be considerably lower, along with the FIP, but I can kind of see where the projections are leaning here. Max Fried over the past couple years hasn't really relied on striking guys out as much as he used to when he came up. He's relied a lot more on maybe the ground ball pitches, making him, I would say, a more economical and smarter pitcher, thus being more of an ace than Spencer Strider is. While Fried certainly can strike people out, he certainly has the stuff to do it. I do think that him relying on more of his ground ball stuff and just other than striking people out, it elevates his FIP and it also elevates his ERA. I think if he goes with the same game plan that he has the past couple years, that is going to be more truth to those projections. But I think in a walk year, Max Fried's really going to try to strut his stuff. So I do see the K percentage maybe going up a tick, and I do see the FIP going down a lot. His ZiPS projections are a little bit more friendly. They clock him at a 3.27 ERA with a 3.44 FIP, and say he's 0.2 WAR more valuable. Since 2019, Max has been incredibly solid. He put up 3 WAR seasons in 2019 and 2021, and in 2020 he put up a 1.5. That's when he had that fantastic year. And I would assume extrapolated over a full season, that would go up to 3 WAR. In 2022, he did have an outlier, which is his second in Cy Young voting. That was a 5 WAR season. He had a 2.48 ERA, 8.26 K per 9 rate, a 1.55 walk rate, and only gave up home runs at a .58 clip. And he also pitched a maximum amount of innings that year, career high at 185. In 2023, however, we all know that Max was injured for a good bit of it. He had the hamstring issue on opening day, and then he comes back and gets shelled by the Orioles, then gets put on the shelf due to a forearm strain. And every report that came out following that, all the imaging and stuff, everyone was saying, look, the elbow looks clean, the elbow looks good, this looks like strictly a forearm issue. Because with Max Fried at the top of the order and Spencer Strider as the 2, oh my lord. Speaking of Spencer Strider, let's go ahead and talk about him. Spencer Strider gets a lot of crap because he had a 3.86 ERA this year, which I don't care if you are like an ERA crusader, like you just hate ERA or you live and die by it. 1, ERA is not the end-all be-all stat. And 2, that is a high ERA for an ace. I will say it. I am not the biggest Spencer Strider defender. I'm not. So when I see the funny memes, I laugh at the funny memes. Spencer Strider's 2024 projections according to Fangraphs, oh baby, hold on to something. 180 innings pitched, which is just 6 innings and 2/3 below what he pitched last year. A 3.23 ERA and a 3.03 FIP, which means that they're saying that Spencer is going to get unlucky here. right, you holding on to something? A 34 K percentage. This will be Spencer's age 25 season and his second year, almost said third, his second year as a full-time starter. In 2023, he started off the season in the rotation and turned out to be the ace of the staff. And despite a pretty bad ERA, Spencer Strider still finished 4th in the Cy Young. Just to look at more projections of what the computers and the stat nerds of the world think that Spencer's going to do, let's look at the Zips. Zips has him at a 13.02 K per 9 rate, a 74.1 left on base percentage, which means, of course, the high strikeouts, trans people, of course. A 3.28 ERA, and a 2.96 FIP, 5.1 WAR, one more WAR than Fangraphs predicts. So yeah, Spencer Strider's going to be good. And I honestly think he can get a sub-3 ERA easily this year. If Spencer Strider has to develop a third pitch, because while his fastball is plus elite Mega Million Scratcher Skunk Bubba Kush, and his slider, and his slider is really good too. If you're hunting one of those pitches, you only have to eliminate one of them. It's a 50-50 chance he's going to throw it. And yes, Spencer Strider has a changeup. No, he doesn't. Spencer Strider rarely throws the changeup at all. Now, if he wants to turn that changeup into an actual pitch, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I would really want maybe Spencer to develop either a really tough two-seamer or a really good sinker. Also, I don't want him to get the mindset that he was in last year. He started out the season and was throwing like 94 miles an hour. And I remember going to a game versus the Reds and he's like throwing 94, 95. I'm like, what is he doing? Which I understand his stats do look a little weird because he in 2022, he came out there and was like, oh, I'm throwing 98 miles an hour every single pitch. In 2023, he did bring it down. I think his average exit velo was something like 96, 95. I get that because he is trying to go longer. But also, why was he like soft tossing? Go out there, man. Cork some gas. Spencer, throw it, man. Let her rip. So that would be my keys for Spencer Strider. Let her rip and develop a third pitch. Now let's talk about who's number 3. A lot of people have said Chris Sale's number 3. Yeah. I don't know, though. It's kind of a toss-up for me. I would honestly much rather go with Charlie Morton at a 3 spot. In a playoff series is a completely different thing. I'd much rather have Chris Sale in there, just so I can throw that out there. But if we're going regular season, I want Chuck to start Game 3 of the series. And I'm not saying that's a fact, that's a bold fact, and if you think Chris Sale's a number 3, then you're stupid. I'm not saying that at all. In my personal humble opinion, I would rather have Charlie Morton at the 3 and maybe give some extra days to Chris Sale. Because honestly, I don't care if Chris Sale doesn't pitch a lot in the regular season. I just want 99, 98 coming out of the bullpen to throw 5 innings in the postseason. Is that too much to ask? Probably with our luck, yeah, it is. I know where this narrative came from, but I don't agree with it. So let me say this to quell the rumor. Charlie Morton is not bad. He was absolutely fine last year. A 3.64 ERA from, well, what was your 2 last year was not good. But this year he's projected to be a 3 or 4, and a 3.64 ERA from that guy is, like, ideal. I'm fine with that. Absolutely. Especially with the offense the Braves have, Charlie doesn't have to go out there and throw a shutout every day. He can give up 3 runs a game. But now that I'm off of my soapbox, let's look at 40-year-old Charlie Morton's projections for 2024. Fangraphs says he is going to pitch 29 games, 164 innings pitched, which is very solid. A 25.3 K per 9 rate. They're going to lower his walk percentage, actually. Which I don't agree with at all. I think he is going to walk probably a little bit more, but let me tell you the actual number before I give you my opinion. A 9.7% walk rate. A 4.14 ERA and a 4.21 FIP, accumulating to a 2.1 WAR. That's not bad. I'm fine with that. Are you fine with that? I hope you are. That makes sense to me. All right, let's move on. If you're getting that kind of production from your 3 or 4 guy with this Braves offense that let me go ahead and say, we assume is going to be good.
Baseball's a weird game.
With this offense we assume is going to be good, then I don't see the problem in the hate for Charlie Morton. Zips projects Charlie for 162 innings once more, a 9.98 K per 9 rate, 3.85 walk per 9 rate, 4.09 ERA, and a 4.23 FIP. So, kind of the same. They also predicted the same war. So since we all know what Charlie Morton's probably going to be, let's go on to one of the two question marks of this rotation. All right, what are the odds that Chris Sale shows up to spring training on a bike? I'm kidding. I hope he doesn't. The most recent acquisition by the Braves, and really the biggest X factor for this rotation. Because if Chris Sale is good and he can stay healthy, oh my lord, that is a very solid number 3. And that's why I put him at number 4, for safety reasons. His Fangraphs projections are really solid. 136 innings pitched, 28.4 K percentage, a 7.1 walk percentage, which is actually up a tick from last year, a 3.80 ERA, and a 3.78 FIP. Now again, if the projected numbers for Chris Sale are better than Charlie Morton, why did I put Charlie Morton at the 3 instead of Chris Sale? They're interchangeable. Interchangeable, honestly. But if I'm making the order, if I'm making the rotation, if I'm Brian Snitker, I'm going to trust Charlie Morton a little bit more than Chris Sale. Not because I think Chris Sale is less of a great pitcher than Charlie Morton is. I would give Chris Sale a couple more days off. In the middle of the season, you're going to get a little bit more days off as the 4 because of travel days, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Like I said during the Charlie Morton segment, keep Chris Sale healthy. Last year, he had a 4.30 ERA with a 3.80 FIP, so already there's some discrepancy and bad luck. And he played in Fenway last year, which is really not helpful to batters. He carried a K per 9 rate of 10.96. He's still striking guys out at a really good clip. For Zips projections, they get him at a 3.84 ERA and a 3.80 FIP, and they actually think his strikeouts are going to go up, an 11.4 K per 9 percentage. Chris Sale, by all accounts, is super excited to come to Atlanta, and I'm really excited to have him. And I just really hope that he takes this in stride, accepts his new role, because he doesn't have to be an ace here. All he has to do is show up and pitch every 5th day, and he's going to have a really good offense behind him, so he's not going to have to stress out a lot of stuff. Okay, let's go to the 5th and final spot, and that is 5th rotation spot, obviously. But who is in the 5th rotation spot? I think you have 5 options battling it out for that spot. Bryce Elder, who emerged as a really solid pitcher last year but had a terrible second half. Ronaldo Lopez, who they said they were going to stretch into a starter, which I still think they're going to try to do. You got Huascar Ynoa coming back, who I made a video on if you want to go check that out. You have Hurston Waldrop and AJ Smith-Shawver, who when I asked Alex about it at Braves Fest, he said that we're in win now mode. They could come up at any time. So who gets the job out of spring training? I'm going to ponder my orb of lasers. Hopefully this is a cool visual. Who will be the Braves? It's Bryce Elder. It's going to be Bryce Elder. I think Ronaldo Lopez is going to be stretched out as a starter. They're obviously going to try to do that. And they might run a 6-man rotation out of the gate with Ronaldo as the 6th guy. But I think ultimately when we get to July or June, it is going to be Bryce Elder in that 5th spot. He's shown that he's durable to go out there every 5th day and pitch some okay baseball. Of course, he had that fluky ERA in the first half, which did net him an all-star. But he did come back crashing and burning to earth, not so much of just returning to normalcy. I'm rooting for Bryce. I think Brian Snitker really appreciates what he did in basically his rookie year. Fangraphs projects him for a 4.46 ERA and a 4.53 FIP, going up to 1.3 WAR. All this in 135 innings pitched, which is a considerably less amount than he pitched in 2023. For reference, he pitched 174. Also, what I think hurts Bryce coming into spring training, while I still think that he is going to be the guy getting out of camp, Bryce has a lot of options, minor league wise. So if someone shows up and actually outperforms Bryce, like if Hurston Waldrop comes out the gate and he's just on fire, or Huascar Ynoa does the same, they may take a spot for a little bit. Zips is a little bit more friendly to Bryce. He has a 4.22 ERA and a 4.55 FIP. Sorry, 4.45. Let me correct myself there. But overall, back to what I was saying, Bryce, he has a lot of options, which I do think is going to work to his detriment. Brian Snitker recently said at Braves Fest, sometimes the worst thing a player can have is options. Of course, you got to look out for Huascar Ynoa. He's been in the big leagues before, and he's pitched some really meaningful big league innings. I would say at a better clip than Bryce Elder did, more convincingly at least. But that being said, I do think this is going to be the rotation going into April. Max Fried at the 1, Spencer Strider at the 2, Charlie Morton at the 3, and at the 4, you got Chris Sale. Number 5, you have Bryce Elder. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think they're running a 6-man rotation, and it's going to be Ronaldo Lopez coming out of camp. If not, Ronaldo Lopez just goes to the bullpen. They run to a traditional 5, and your Gwinnett order. What? And your Gwinnett rotation looks like this. AJ Smith-Shawver, Hurston Waldrop, Huascar Ynoa, Alan Winans, and Darius Viner down there. And don't forget Ian Anderson's coming back in the summer. The Braves have so much pitching depth. But the problem is, a lot of it is young and/or there are big question marks next to it. I would say the question marks for the Braves this year are going to be Chris Sale, Bryce Elder, Ronaldo Lopez, Ian Anderson, and Huascar. I don't think Hurston Waldrop and AJ Smith-Shawver really count as question marks per se. Because if a rookie comes up and doesn't really perform, no one's like, oh, that was to be expected. No, you already know if they don't perform, you kind of expect that to happen. Or if they do perform, wow, the Braves did it again. It's not so much of a question if they will be good or not. You know what I mean? In this word soup in my head, I was able to put forth something. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Next up, we're going to go over the bullpen where we'll talk about Ronaldo Lopez again and Huascar Ynoa again. So we'll have returning guests. But until then, thank you guys for watching. Share with a Braves fan if you don't mind. We're getting ready for the season. Like I said, just 1 week away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So excited for that. If you want to follow me on other social medias, they're right here. I'm mainly on Instagram. I'll post a lot of Braves stuff on there. Sometimes my Instagram is my personal space. If you want more professional stuff, I'm on Twitter. And for TikTok, that's where my community started, on TikTok. So all my TikTok followers, if you're watching this, thank you so much for helping me get to where I am. My content has shifted to more of this style of content, not so much as the TikTok funny videos, even though TikTok is forcibly making the TikTok funny videos do more.
I don't like it.
Thank you guys once again for watching. Share with Braves fan. Follow me on socials. Do whatever you want. Give it a like. Subscribe to me. Doesn't matter to me. And as always, have a good one.